For decades, the shadowy world of alien government secrets has loomed large in our collective consciousness. In this gripping episode, we delve into the enigmatic realm of UFOs. What is the connection between the USA government and the so-called extraterrestrials? Where do these otherworldly beings convene? And what is their secret agenda? Are we in fact reverse engineering alien technology, with those clandestine experiments occurring right under our noses? Do you genuinely believe in the existence of life beyond our planet? Do you think there's life on other planets? The question hangs in the air. Oh, I don't know, comes the hesitant reply. We'd like to think about it for a second. But not really. Another voice interjects defiantly. There is life on other planets, the uncertainty crackles in the atmosphere. Well, I'm not quite sure. But I suppose it would be no. Another person chimes in, seemingly convinced. He seems definitely. How do you envision this life? And where I've seen a flying saucer, the first voice declares, confidence seeping through the hesitance. You've seen one, the incredulity is palpable. Yes, definitely Adelaide Cove. When was this? 1953. You don't think this is a figment of your imagination? Several other people with me saw it. You all had the same figment. What did it look like? The curiosity deepens. There were colors emitting from it, vibrant and surreal. Flat or on its side, it was a ray-on. And you genuinely think this was sent from another planet? And I really do. Well, where else would it come from? Do you think there's life on other planets? Oh, I wouldn't want to even discuss that. Why not? It's a debatable point, I suppose. What do you think yourself? You must have an opinion here. Well, definitely not. The disbelief is evident. Not well. What leads you to say that scientific investigation, or, well, only working off the theory of the Bible? Well, there's only one world, isn't there? But do you think that can stand up to present scientific investigation? Oh, I think it could. Do you think so? I think so. As far as the universe goes, definitely so. The conversation lingers, steeped in conflict, curiosity, and the profound mysteries that lie beyond the stars. In your opinion, do you think there is life on other planets? No, I hope not. Why do you hope that? Because they'd be frozen to death. The weight of this assertion lingers heavy in the air. Do you think there is life on other planets? No, I'm German. Yes, definitely. The conviction cuts through the uncertainty. Why? What sort of life do you envision up there? Vegetable planets? No, why not? Oh, I don't know. The hesitation hangs, palpable and thick. I don't think we'll find anything when we eventually land on Venus. I don't think we'll find life, comes the firm reply. But we might discover some very interesting things. Such as, oh, I couldn't really say what, as I don't know, but I dare say it'll be something worth knowing. I think there is life on other planets. And how do you envision this life? How do you visualize it? It's like queer-looking people, totally different from the people on Earth. I suppose so. How? Would you like to get up there yourself and see it on Venus? Not particularly. Why not? The curiosity piques. Demanding answers because I like it down here. I reckon there is. What makes you reckon that the challenge sharpens the atmosphere? Well, I don't know. It's not imagination. It's just what, you're being led by scientific discoveries, etc. Yes, yeah. Well, how do you see this life if you think there is life up there? What form do you think it takes? Animal, because we're animals. Aren't we? Some of us. Speak for yourself. How do you see them up there? Though, I mean, the same as here. You think a land on Venus would discover people like you? No, totally different. It all depends on what atmosphere they're living in. The conversation's intensity rises. I think it would be in animal form, but I don't think it would be like us. Do you think that's a good thing? Well, I don't know. Would you like to get up there and find out for yourself? Definitely. Would you to write? I would. You'd volunteer for this to write? I would. I'd like to be the first woman in space. The spark of ambition ignites the dialogue, leaving everyone pondering the unknown mysteries and the allure of a universe filled with possibilities. Do you think there is life on other planets? Oh, I don't know. The uncertainty lingers in the air, heavy and unyielding. Have you thought about this at all? No. Do you think there is life on other planets? No. French? No. I don't speak English. French. The dialogue circles like a whirlpool. drawing them deeper into confusion. Do you think there is life on other planets, Mars and Venus? Yes, it's French, right? Or is it going to Mars? I don't know. Do you want to think about it? There is life on other planets. Oh, I couldn't tell. You wouldn't have a notion, would I? Hey, I wouldn't have a notion. You haven't thought about this at all. The probing intensifies. Oh, I've thought about it, but no. I wouldn't think there would be. Do you think it would be a good thing for the Earth if there was indeed life up there? I suppose competition is pretty good at any time, isn't it? The mere thought of interstellar competition stirs a mix of intrigue and apprehension, leaving an echo of questions hanging in the air. As many as 95% of Americans are aware of the enigma known as unidentified flying objects, and a striking 57% firmly believe in their existence. Both Presidents Reagan and Carter allegedly witnessed a UFO, adding an eerie credibility to the phenomenon. Across the United States, numerous private UFO organizations thrive, their members staunchly convinced that the U.S. government, and the CIA in particular, are embroiled in a sweeping cover-up. The pervasive notion that the CIA clandestinely conceals its research into UFOs has echoed resoundingly among UFO enthusiasts since the modern phenomenon first took flight in the late 1940s. This enduring suspicion fuels a fervor of curiosity and conspiracy, igniting imaginations and scrolling through the annals of government secrecy, leaving many to wonder what truths lie hidden in the shadows of bureaucracy. In the autumn of 1993, as UFOologists relentlessly pursued the CIA for further revelations regarding its information on UFOs, Director of Central Intelligence R. James Woolsey took a significant step by ordering a comprehensive review of all CIA files pertaining to these unidentified phenomena. This exhaustive examination drew upon records compiled over decades, meticulously tracing the agency's involvement with UFOs from the late 1940s to 1990. The study unfolds in a chronological tapestry, meticulously detailing the agency's various attempts to unravel the enigma of UFOs, the programs it implemented that inadvertently influenced sightings, and its deft maneuvers to obscure any direct connection to the growing UFO narrative. Each file turned over reveals a complex web of intrigue, secrecy, and the desperate search for answers that has haunted both the CIA and the American public for generations. In October, in the tranquil town of Pascagoula, Mississippi, two local men approached authorities with a tale that would send ripples of intrigue through the community. Charles Hickson and Calvin Parker recounted a bewildering encounter, an otherworldly craft descending near their fishing spot, and their subsequent abduction by three enigmatic beings. Undergoing rigorous questioning, which included hypnosis and lie detector tests, the two men held steadfast to their extraordinary account. However, the ordeal took its toll. One of them suffered a nervous breakdown and remains under treatment, the shadows of that night looming large over his psyche. Amid the chorus of disbelief, skeptics Ralph and Judy Blum emerged, already engrossed in the writing of a UFO book. Last week, they retraced their steps back to Pascagoula with What If 5, seeking to uncover the truth. Judy and I stumbled into this book. It came to us to be written, Ralph explained, his voice tinged with excitement and anxiety. Suddenly, we found ourselves caught in a tidal wave of reports. UFO sightings surged across the nation once more. People were sharing experiences that defied explanation. Something unsettling was taking place in our skies, coinciding with the chaos of Watergate, Agnew, and the energy crisis in the Middle East. It was perplexing, a phenomenon about UFOs, yet no one truly understood it. And then, right here in Pascagoula, our small town burst into the national spotlight. The air of mystery thickened, hinting at deeper truths waiting to be unveiled. The spaceship descended with a mesmerizing display of blue lights, settling eerily close to them in the night. Out of it emerged three diminutive figures, their presence both commanding and otherworldly as they beckoned the two men inside. They examined us with one enormous eye, one recounted, the memory etched into his mind. We were sitting on the other side of the pier, our feet dangling over toward the river, line cast into the water. The fish weren't biting, so I turned to Calvin and said, "We might as well head home." But then I heard it, some kind of zipping sound. I whipped around, and it appeared as if the craft was descending right onto the ground, a surreal sight hovering just 1.5 feet above the earth. We froze, uncertainty gripping us. The river lay behind us, an ominous backdrop to the unknown ahead. Before we had time to react, an opening materialized, a portal moving toward us, pulsating with blue light and flashes that danced in the dark. The craft hovered there, the ground below seemingly vibrating with energy. Then, just as suddenly, it fell dark. But when the opening appeared, it unleashed a source of light from within that was almost blinding, washing over us in a glow that promised answers yet shrouded us in uncertainty. Can you tell me just what happened that night? The question hung in the air, charged with anticipation. There were 2 men who came into the sheriff's department at approximately 8:30, the officer recalled, his voice steady but laden with the weight of the bizarre. They climbed the walls of comprehension. He hesitated, the bewilderment evident in his eyes. All I know is what I witness. When the craft first appeared, I wasn't sure what to expect initially. It was unclear if anyone was coming out. He took a breath, recalling the shocking moment, but then they appeared right in front of me. It was the most visceral shock I've ever experienced in my life. What did you see? The inquiry pressed on. Well, they were shorter than me, I'd say about 5'2" or 3. They seemed to lack a neck, their shoulders merging into their heads. What struck me was how their features culminated in a point where a nose might be, with ears sticking out on either side. If I had to describe it, I'd say their ears seemed a little longer than their noses, but still pointed. They were still pointing, yes, but it was surreal. I was there, and several other scientists and investigators were consulted as well. My expertise is in medicine after all. They asked if I would mind being present, and I said I wouldn't mind at all. It remains incredibly challenging for many to accept that a spaceship landed and that these robotic-like creatures emerged to take 2 individuals aboard. He paused, the gravity of the situation weighing on him. But in my opinion, these men truly believed what they saw and reported their experiences with honesty. It all unfolded so quickly, almost like a flash when those beings emerged through that doorway, through that luminous opening. They were upon us in an instant. The remnants of disbelief mingled with acknowledgement, leaving the listener captivated by the profound mystery of that fateful night. Their arms. They had arms, he began, his voice suffused with disbelief as he recalled the encounter. I saw the arms moving at the shoulders, but they bore strange welds. I mean, their fingers looked like they'd been fused or welded together, and they had something resembling a thumb, but it was distinctly different. It was as if they were crafted for a purpose beyond our understanding. He paused, eyes wide with remembrance. They seemed to link the room somehow, recording every conversation we had after everything I've endured in my life. I couldn't fathom why I had to witness something like this. A note of anxiety crept into his voice at one point. My companion wanted to climb the wall. He was that nervous, that shaken. They had a grip on me, one on each arm. One here, one there, he gestured vaguely, still trapped in the moment. And then, inexplicably, it felt like I was lifted to the same height they hovered above the ground, as if we were effortlessly gliding into the craft. The imagery of that bizarre ascent clung to him, a vivid reminder of the reality he had stepped into, merging the everyday with the incomprehensible, leaving him forever altered in his understanding of existence. Now inside, how did they lay you out? Do you remember how it happened? Yes, he answered, his voice steady but colored with lingering apprehension. I didn't see any tables or chairs or anything in there. I can't say for certain that they weren't present, but the light was nearly blinding. All I could discern was the brilliance emanating from everywhere around me when they brought me inside. It was as if they simply inclined me along. This eye, well, I keep referring to it as an eye. It moved closer, hovering just within my line of sight. It locked onto me, staring directly into my eyes for a few seconds. It seemed to hesitate, as if gauging my reaction. Then it began to sweep over my entire body, examining me as I was brought into the craft. He paused, the recollection weighing heavily. They didn't just drop me, they released me back to the ground. And when I landed, my legs felt weak. I don't know why. Perhaps from fear or something more mysterious. But I just fell, and that's when I saw Calvin. He was standing right over there. He gestured vaguely, lost in the moment. He was facing the river, arms outstretched like he was embracing the unknown, completely entranced by the scene unfolding around us. The image hung in the air, a poignant reminder of their shared experience, merging fascination with fear in a realm where reality blurred into the extraordinary. Well, so that was run by Pilkington. Is it Pilkington, Pennington? They conduct this type of test about 6 times a day. They were asked to come over here, well, they had it in their minds that this was just a big joke. If I understand correctly, they ran one test on Mr. Hickson, and the machine indicated he was telling the truth. Then they conducted another test, and the examiner began to question his own doubts. He ran a third test, and by then, he believed. The gravity of those moments hung in the air, suggesting a shift in skepticism that had begun to erode under the weight of the evidence. Mr. Booth, tell me what happened that night in October. Well, I got up, turned on the TV, and then made my way to the front door, which you can see right behind me. As usual, I was checking to ensure it was locked. That's when I spotted an object hovering above the streetlight out there. The lights were on, but I couldn't hear a sound. Nothing at all. He paused, reliving the astonishment. After a few seconds, I stepped outside to see if I could get a better look. And just like that, it took off. It was round, perfectly symmetrical, rotating in a counterclockwise motion. There was a dome on top, beams of bright light shining outward. To describe its actual figure or anything beyond that was impossible. All I could see were the lights, especially the one on top. He shook his head, bewildered. Charlie, the creatures, whatever they were, didn't communicate with it. It was all so surreal. A moment suspended in time, leaving an indelible mark of confusion and curiosity. To say you saw a UFO may invite skepticism in some towns. To claim you were taken aboard is a whole other matter. It evokes an entirely different level of disbelief, he mused, his expression a mix of contemplation and unease. Somehow, if the creatures don't deliver a message, it feels less incredible, almost more palatable. Charlie described it clearly in our book. It was as if they had a job to do, and they came and executed it without hesitation. There could be a reason why Calvin and I were chosen. Perhaps they know more about what's unfolding down here on Earth than we realize. I don't know, maybe they were searching for someone who could, you might say, withstand the pressure of such an encounter and convince others that there is indeed another world out there, teeming with life beyond our understanding. His gaze drifted, as if peering into the vast unknown, where questions lingered and mysteries awaited unraveling. What emerges from this examination is a striking revelation. While agency concern over UFOs was substantial up until the early 1950s, the CIA has since relegated the phenomena to limited and peripheral attention. The onset of the Cold War in 1947, marked by escalating tensions between the United States and the Soviet Union, coincided with the initial wave of UFO reports flooding the nation. The pivotal moment occurred on June 24, 1947, when a businessman and private pilot, scouring the skies for a crashed plane, spotted 9 flying objects near Mount Rainier, Washington. He estimated their speed at an astonishing 1,000 miles per hour, a proclamation that sent shockwaves throughout the aviation community. In the wake of Arnold's report, a torrent of new sightings emerged, filling the airwaves with tales from civilian and military pilots alike, along with air traffic controllers from coast to coast to coast. Each account added layers to the enigma, transforming curiosity into a national obsession and beckoning further inquiry into the mysteries lurking in the skies above. In 1943, Air Force General Nathan Twining, head of the Air Technical Service Command, initiated Project Sign, originally called Project Saucer, to collect, evaluate, and disseminate all information relating to UFO sightings and the growing belief that these phenomena could pose a national security threat. The Air Materiel Command Technical Intelligence Division at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base in Dayton, Ohio, took charge of Project Sign, commencing its operations on January 23, 1948. Initially, the Air Force suspected the objects might be Russian secret weapons, but they soon reached a startling conclusion. UFOs were genuine phenomena, albeit easily explained. The ensuing Air Force report determined that almost all sightings could be attributed to one of 3 causes: hoaxes and hallucinations, mass hysteria, or the misidentification of known phenomena. Yet, The report recommended that military oversight of UFO investigations continue, leaving the door open to the possibility of extraterrestrial life amidst the rising tide of UFO reports. In the late 1940s, the Air Force persisted in collecting and evaluating UFO data under a new initiative, codenamed Grudge, which aimed to alleviate public anxiety about UFOs through a public relations campaign designed to convince citizens that these sightings were nothing out of the ordinary. They attributed UFO sightings to conventional aircraft, balloons, planets, solar reflections, optical illusions, and even large hailstones, while asserting that no evidence suggested advanced foreign weaponry was at play. I am here to discuss the so-called flying saucers. The Air Force's interest in this problem stems from our obligation to identify and analyze, to the best of our ability, anything in the air that may pose a threat or menace to the United States. Since 1947, we have received and analyzed between 10 to 2,000 reports from a variety of sources. Of this substantial volume of reports, we have managed to explain the vast majority to our own satisfaction. Many have been debunked as hoaxes, misidentified friendly aircraft, or as meteorological or electronic phenomena, including light aberrations. He continued, the gravity of the matter weighing on him. However, a certain percentage of these reports come from credible observers recounting extraordinary experiences, a collection of accounts we are endeavoring to resolve. The fundamental challenge we face is that there exists no framework by which we can organize these sightings into a deliberate form of analysis. As of now, we can only draw one firm conclusion regarding this remaining percentage. It lacks any discernible pattern of purpose that could relate to a conceivable threat to the United States. The tension in the air was palpable, as the implications of the report and the mysteries lingering in the skies loomed large over Pascagoula, Mississippi. A small laid-back town, Pascagoula is known for being home to America's largest military shipbuilding company and an abundance of seafood. Fishing, that's the heartbeat of this southern town, yet in the 1970s, Pascagoula found itself thrust into the national spotlight for a reason entirely different than its tranquil lifestyle. My name's Calvin Parker. I was just 4 years old when I was abducted by something. I don't know what it was or where it came from. In 1973, Parker had just moved to town to work alongside Charles Hickson on what would become the most pivotal day of his life, October 11th, 1973. They toiled away at their jobs. As dusk approached, Hickson turned to Parker and asked, "Do you want to go fishing?" They headed down to the steel docks along the Pascagoula River, unwittingly crossing a no trespassing sign, when the unimaginable happened. It was so bright it was blinding, Parker recalled, eyes widening as he spoke of the lights emanating from inside a mysterious craft. Just as they began to process the dazzling display, the two men found themselves inexplicably standing, turning around to face the unknown. I can't say where they were from or what they were, but they moved like robotic creatures. Very mechanical. Before they could react, two of the entities seized Tarly, while one approached Parker. The very instant they grabbed me, I felt a sharp injection in my arm. Then they lifted us and took us aboard. What awaited him inside the craft was even more perplexing. This female-looking creature emerged. She had ears, eyes, and a nose. But as I studied her, something struck me. Think about your own hand. Her fingers were somewhat longer than ours. The creature approached Parker. With deliberate intent, she ran her right hand up and down the back of my throat. Suddenly, I started choking, but in that moment, she seemed to convey that they meant no harm. After a few tense seconds, they picked me up and carried me back outside, gently setting me down by the river. As he recounted his harrowing experience, the emotions flooded back, capturing the eerie blend of fear and otherworldly intrigue that still haunted his memories. The story dominated the front page of the Mississippi press for over a week, captivating the attention of the entire state. UFOs had suddenly become the hot topic of conversation, sparking debates in diners and living rooms alike. Even NASA became embroiled in the frenzy, dedicating hours each day to investigate the claims. The Air Force dispatched their own personnel, spending significant resources to come down and interview witnesses, desperate to uncover the truth behind the startling account. Hickson and Parker stood firm, offering matching statements to the police, and both passed polygraphs and lie detector tests, their stories seemingly solidified by the evidence. Yet skepticism lingered in the air, as one reporter pointed out that security cameras in the area showed nothing unusual that night, casting doubt on the legitimacy of the polygraphs and suggesting a web of deception. In the aftermath, Parker remained haunted by what transpired that fateful night. "I never told any of my family what happened," he confessed, the weight of his secret pressing heavily on him. He lived in a state of near constant flight, distancing himself from society, as if trying to escape the shadow of his extraordinary encounter while dealing with mundane tasks, like getting air conditioners fixed around town. The surreal nature of his experience clashed with the ordinary world around him, leaving him trapped between two realities, unable to fully reconcile his past with life as he knew it. "My name is Rebecca Davis. I am the executive director for Main Street, Pascagoula." Her voice carried a sense of purpose as she spoke of her mission. Over the past year, she had dedicated herself to reconnecting Parker and his astonishing story with present-day Pascagoula. In 1973, it was a different age, a different time. And it was considered taboo. You just didn't talk about things like that back then. But I believe people today are more open-minded. Davis reflected on how the community had shifted. With book signings, events in the city, and support from the mayor, interest has surged. There are so many people today who weren't alive during the incident, who have never fully heard the story. It's vital that they know about it. This incident happened. It's part of our history. We went down there. I remember it vividly. Me, my dad, and my mom, we visited the headland, and it was just incredible. My dad had an unloading dock between the bridges where the aliens supposedly came through. He was on one side, and they were on the other. Her eyes sparkled with amusement and disbelief. Did he see the aliens? No, he did not see the aliens, but those guys on the shrimp boat. Well, they might have seen something, if they'd been smoking the same stuff. Her light-hearted quip contrasted sharply with the eerie air of the past, emphasizing how the town had begun to embrace its unconventional history, inviting curiosity and a new understanding of an event that had once been relegated to whispers and skepticism. He no longer allows his experience to dictate his life. "You kind of look to your left, about where the pier was," he observed, glancing toward the river. "It's really hard to tell where anything is by now. Do you ever come out here anymore?" "Oh yeah, I fish here all the time." A hint of nostalgia tinged his voice. "The reason I don't come is not because I want to linger on it, but because this is something you can't really dwell on. It would eat away at you. I remember a time when I dreaded coming back here, reliving where it all happened. But this year, a new reminder was put in place, a permanent marker commemorating a defining moment in my life." "How do you feel when you see this here?" Parker exhaled slowly, his expression revealing a complex mix of emotions. "I have mixed feelings. I feel good that the city is honoring it. Do you wish you would have shared this earlier?" "No," he replied firmly. "I think I picked the right time to tell it, and I'll tell you why. If I had talked about this any sooner, it would have worn off now. I'm keeping the attention on it. People are a lot more conscious of what's going on." He paused, reflecting on his journey. "I'm just hunting hunters for myself. Whether we'll ever find them or not, I don't know. But I'll go on my deathbed still hunting for them." His voice carried a fervor, a determination that transcended his unsettling past, a testament to the unmistakable pull of his quest for understanding in a world that remained rife with mysteries. With photojournalist Andrew Snodike, I'm Chloe Nordquist, reporting. Her voice cut through the tension, setting the stage for a revelation that had captivated countless viewers. In the language of the U.S. Department of Defense, these are identified as unidentified aerial phenomena, videos that intensify the belief among some that we are not alone. She paused, allowing the weight of her words to settle. The first incident was filmed off the California coast in 2004. An oval shape lingered in the sky, and in the words of the Navy pilot who recorded this, it was not behaving by the normal laws of physics. In 2015, pilots flying off the east coast of America spotted something extraordinary. Her tone quickened with excitement. "They're all going against the wind. The wind's 120 knots to the west. Look at that thing, dude," she exclaimed, her passion palpable as she detailed the moment at speed and movement, astounded even the most experienced aircrew. "Look at that thing. It's rotating that same year, something raced across the surface of the ocean, defying expectations and taking skill to capture on film. All these videos have surfaced in the past, but now, the US government confirms they are indeed genuine. Her eyes sparkled with intrigue, reflecting a world that was no longer bound by the constraints of doubt, as the monumental question hung in the air. Just what else might be out there, waiting to be discovered?